Hi guys, good evening. It is the 15th of the 3rd, 2019, 6:32 p.m. London time. I hope wherever you're tuning in from today you are well, you are happy, you are healthy, you are strong. We're going to wait for a few people to get into the room just to make their way in, and then I think we're going to start around 18:34. Whoever's in here, say hello so I can see you're in. What's up, Derek? Hi, Frenchie, Stephen, BTC Dude, Hans Sagan. Right, let me post this up. Live stream commencing. Hi Raj, how are you? Hope you're well, man. Good afternoon, good evening, Andrea. Alright, I guess I can start. Hello FY, hello. Yeah, I guess I can start and the laggards will make their way in. So today we have a few things for you. I'm going to do it in the general format that it is usually in. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over just the general market outlook on Bitcoin, and then from there on I'm going to make my way to the requests. Alright, we had a few requests that come in earlier on, and I've chosen to cover POA, GVT, Tron, Link, and DERO. So I'm going to go through those in order, and after that I'll open the floor for questions. What's up, Vinny? Welcome guys, welcome. Right, so I'm just going to get into it. I'm not going to wait around. Let's do a top down for Bitcoin and let's see if it's suggesting any bias, right? So the first thing we want to do is gain a weekly outlook. There's not enough data here on the left hand side, but I'm going to use what I have in accordance to the Binance pair. So without any chart information, right, we've had an impulse, right? We had how long was that consolidation? It was a couple months. We spent a long time, right? We spent a very, very long time in that consolidation. We're now expanding off that original pump, right? We're now expanding off that original pump. That just should be obvious. At current, we were rejected by this obvious resistance level, right? At 4095. So let's take all this off. Let me actually remove all the noise so we can see more effectively. So the first thing we want to do is we want to draw our weekly resistance, yeah? And weekly resistance is here, right? Here is our weekly resistance. So let's type that in, weekly resistance. Very simple, extremely easy. Perfect, right? Weekly resistance, done. And you have a block of price here that's basically rejected us on the previous spring, right? What we denote from that is the fact that any supply that was there, it's been weakened because we've tapped into it, right, on the upside. If you want a macro view from the weekly, right, it's very important to know the context of how you're trading and where you're trading, because time and consolidation, I feel, matters, right? We speak about the length of consolidation leading to large expansions, which basically indicates that time is a factor. Here we necked from the 18th of October all the way down to 10th of December. Right? So that was a month in falling and 2 months in consolidation. Right? So it's between 3 and 4 months that we have been in this bearish scope without any relief, right? Now to point out, this is the first relief we've had in a very long time, right? We went straight to optimum trade entry down here and expanded off, right? At the moment, the weekly isn't showing any signs of slowing. I mean, look, this candle wasn't the best, right? It was a pretty bearish candle. Doesn't look nice. It's just, again, tapped into supply and can't come back down. But if you want to take off the candle wicks and just look at the lines, we're still grinding up in an upwards direction, right? I usually favor candle closes over wicks unless there is something extraordinary about the wick, right? Now, one could say there is something extraordinary about this wick, but at current, on the weekly, there's no reason to be bearish, right? Weekly support is right down here. Let me use this tool. So here is your weekly support line, which has been respected very well, right? You see this. So again, we're just building a frame for the analysis. So of course, this is the weekly support down here, right? Respected very well twice. So in fact, it's a very significant level, which is 3686. Yeah, very, very significant level. And we'll come back to that after. So that's the weekly outlook. At the moment, the one bearish signal we're getting in the local weekly scenario is this wick. However, I favor a move to the upside at the moment, given the weekly bias, right? I'm going to just refer to something briefly, right? You can see that Monero on, let's check, right? So you can see that Monero on the 12-hour here, right? You see that harsh rejection, quote unquote. It tapped into supply and came back down. It doesn't instantly mean it's going to reverse, right? You need context in the whole thing. This thing has been squeezing for such a long time, and we formed a higher low step here, right? You see that. Now, I would say, or almost pose to you, that this zone is equal down here, right? So we're coming off a pretty strong consolidation range, move up, form a higher low. Does this wick have enough to challenge this whole bias? I doubt it. Similar thing with Bitcoin right now for me, right? So that's something I wanted to primarily highlight. Okay, right. So we have that weekly down. Let's look at the daily, right? Let's look to see what the daily is doing. And at current, I'm gonna just fade these away briefly to put them in the background. Right, so what we have, right, is highs in defense, right? We have highs in defense and we have lows in rising, right? To form an ascending, or whatever you want to call it, right? Rising triangle, ascending triangle, whatever, right? It's just higher lows equal highs, yeah? That's dictated by two rejections and higher low and a higher low, right? So I'm going to paint a scenario for you now. Let me remove this even more. Just make this completely invisible. Right. So I want to highlight one word of caution before I start. It's something I spotted earlier on today. You see that we're grinding up like this. Right? We're grinding up, grinding up. We grind it up here. Back down, up, rejection, technically a low high, down, right? There's this massive, I call it a waterfall, right? A massive waterfall candle here. To me, the market structure is still bearish, right? Until we can really reaffirm above 4125, there's nothing else I can say, right? There are people that are categorically bullish right now, but I'm not falling into that trap personally. I'm playing it every day as it comes, because there is always the possibility that, look, we grind up and then flag down, grind up, flag down. And it could be that this is a third repeater of what we've seen before. So you see, look, situation 1, right? Situation 2, and then this could be situation 3, right? Not to say that we can't still break out, but as we approach this zone right here, right? Right there. You'll see, it'll be easier to see on a lower time frame shortly. But as we approach this zone right there, above this swing high, I get more and more cautious. It's obvious resistance, right? And if we're going to form slightly lower highs, right? So if we're going to do, you could call those equal highs. So no, that's not a lower high. Yeah, so just a brief word of caution as we head into this area, right? Primarily. We're coming off this impulse as stated, right? So any move that's expanding from now is an expansion off this, right? Off this section. Hence, if we find a rejection in this region, right, as I noted up here, I'm expecting a move down to this trend line, right? You see this block of price. Okay, I'm expecting a move down to this block of price down here, right? It's obvious, it's extremely easy, it doesn't take a genius to figure out. It does not take a genius to figure out. We have our primary leg here, movement down. We have our, I call it a secondary leg, movement down. And, you know, if we move into here, it's teasing to expand up after again, right? I can't be bearish there at all. So here is my bias at the moment, and I'll show you on lower time frames what I mean. You have confluence in this region, right? 78.6 dictates that if we are to tap into it, you have a run on this entire block, right? So you wick through it. You know, in hindsight or in foresight, if anyone goes long, you know, if they prematurely ejaculate their longs, they're going to put their stop just below here, right? So hence, I pre-marked that out as a zone of interest, right? So at current, that's my bias until we've broken swing high, right? Until we've broken, really just because of how I feel. The price action is dictating that we're bullish, right? That there's nothing else you can do there. So if we go down to a 12-hour now, let's get a better view of local price action, yeah? Right. So look, we have this general area of support, right? It will be clearer on a lower time frame. But we have this very general area of support. Is that clear? Price has tapped into it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and it's held up every single time. Right? Every single time it's stood the test. So at current, this is the area that's holding us up, right? 12-hour is not showing any signs of slowing. I mean, look, if you look at the line graph, we had, you could call it equal lows, but a lower low here, right? So we had an impulse, a consolidation, and we're challenging this previous leg here, right? That I'm highlighting. So instead of looking at the 12-hour, let's go down to the 4, right? Yes, I did say. You know, it's a phrase I use. Traders, they just love it, man. They love to get overexcited. And what happens when you get overexcited? You spunk your milk out everywhere, right? It's just what traders do. Hi, Enzo. How are you? Just looking at the comments right now. What's up, John? Yeah, no, you know, gangster, you can brush that off for me, right? You can brush that off. So look, on a 4-hour time frame, here is the draw, right? Here is the draw. Our low is right here, yeah? If you want to look for a low that's supporting price at the moment, here is the low. Right, I'm going to draw lines for different time frames so you can assess what's what. So look, very, very, very clear, yeah? Very, very, very clear. This is how I ascertain the line that I showed you previously, right? Right, so it's very important to be aware of different time frames and their triggers, right? So we have a few here, right? We have trigger 1 and trigger 2, and I'll show you why. So at the moment, we formed a supportive low here, right? That we're springing off right now. This supportive low is 3853, right? Or 3855 as denoted by the line on the right-hand side. If you close a 12-hour below this region, right? That's it, game on, right? Game on. It's a sell the rally at that point, in my opinion, right? So if we get rejected in our current area, we come back down, you know, and we push into that area, then I would be a shorter all the way down to this previous support zone, right? Because that's the low that's supporting us right now. You could say, well, sir, why are you not using this low down here? I'm choosing the most local candle because it's the most relevant, right? Now, that differs when you go down to a 4 hour, right? That differs when you go down to the 4 hour. So, in fact, difficult. Could you use this 12-hour line as a 4 hour? Let me check. Yeah, I think you can do both of them, right? You can do both of them. It's correct because this is also a congestion zone that leads to the spring off, right? So this is the next low. We come down here, we form a lower low. So in fact, the 12-hour support, right? The 3856 level to me is a very significant line. I'm not saying that, you know, you come back down and you will sell off, but I'm saying that if you do and you retest, there's an opportunity there to take towards the downside, right? Because at that point, you've broken back below a very important zone, right? The best trade to take in that fact will be 12 hours, right? On the 12-hour chart. Depending on how the speed of the market is reacting, you'd have to choose what time frame to take that play on, right? But that's the current area that's capping price. That's the bearish scenario for me, right? That's the bearish scenario. So again, I'll mark this zone out for you. There we are. Now to the upside, two things. First thing is, this is the leg that we are currently moving against right here, right? It started at 4,200 and comes down to 3,669. So really simply, you just want to calculate where are algorithmic levels, right? Where are levels that traders are watching, and do we have confluence? So you have two levels. You have the 618 and you have the 786, right? Really easy, not difficult. These have been incomplete. We haven't tapped into either of them yet, right? And the 61.8 line lies right at this bearish pivot. So I'm watching basically 4,000, right? I'm watching 4,000. I'm more of a bear up here than a bull, right? It makes sense because we're at resistance. So if you want to get rejected, you want to see a movement into this area and a swift high volume rejection, right? It's not for me, it's not a case of, oh, sell the rally. I don't really know about directional bias right now. Okay, I'm very cautious, but I have no idea where this is going. It's very 50-50 for me, right? I don't like the way this is just grinding, you know, really slow ass grind. I don't like it at all. So that's the bearish bullish scenario short term, and basically, you know, if you can close above this level up here, right? So if you can close above this daily level 4116, then of course, right? Of course, we have an expansion target, right? Which is between 4,500 and 4,600 as the first step. Where is that derived from? Go back to the weekly, and basically here, right? There's resistance. I drew that level out, put some buffering on it for a wick, and extrapolated it back down, right? I'm sure if you extend it from the extension, right? So you go from our swing low to our swing high, back to our swing low, here is what you receive, right? 43.87, but just past the 1-to-1 would lead us right into that weekly block, right? Given the length of consolidation here, if we do break up, it's reasonable even to assume that we'll go to 5K. But in foresight, I'm always conservative, never over the top, right? So that's the analysis for Bitcoin done. Before I continue, if anyone has any questions on Bitcoin, give me them now, because once I get on to altcoins, I'm not coming back to Bitcoin. Hello, Unkit. Yes, I will check AMB after I've gone on to the alts that were requested, all right? Okay, so Crypto Rajput is in bearish mode, right? I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm conditioned into just when everyone's foaming and there's too many people in profit, I don't like it, right? I mean, in a bull run, fair enough, right? Above 6K, fair enough. But right now, you know, right now, so many people are very certain that the bottom is in. I'm not certain at all, right? I think we can have expansion, of course, but put it this way, I won't, if I see the signs, I'm exiting straight away back to USDT. Why isn't it as symmetrical or more like an ascending? Well, that's a great question. It's a great question, right? So I think Crypto Frenzy is asking why I haven't drawn it. I'm not sure exactly what he's asking, right? You know, I'm really not sure. Like the daily resistance is up here, right? Lower time frame. Why is that messing around? Yeah, so the reason why I've drawn that there is basically because that's our current daily pivot, right? The equal highs are both at 4192, but I'd like to use this as a reference, right? I use close as a reference, not wicks, right? Unless that was not what you were asking, then fair enough. Okay, Jean Lee asks, do you see how alts have moved to the 4.2k BTC equivalent from months ago? Yeah, I do, Jean, I do see that. I tell you the one I saw that on, right? So that's an excellent question, man. The one I saw that on is on EOS. I saw this on EOS. Right? Here is where we started to neck from, right? I think it was around here that we started to rapidly move down from, right? This is a very good question. Alts have moved back down from the 4.5k region, right? Around this region, we were at 4.5k, and especially EOS, right? This is the one I know to refer to in this scenario, has moved above that now. Okay, is that a significant point, or is that a liquidity generating event? I don't know, right? I don't know. What I do know is that all that does is force me to pay attention. I gave a writing in the Killmex Telegram earlier on, and I basically stated that, you know, just chill, right? You know, concentrate, don't be lax. At the moment where everyone's in profit, it's very, very easy to just go out for a beer, right? And only to come home and have a massive heart attack. So yeah, it's caution. It's caution. I mean, there are trades to be taken at these kinds of levels, excellent trades. Hence why everyone's bullish. But just caution, caution. Okay, Raleigh X asks how low should one hold a 36-3700 spot entry? I mean, look, if you bought at 36 to 3700, Raleigh, and you bought without a plan, then you're fucked, right? You need to be trading with a plan. It's not financial advice, of course, but you need to be trading with a plan. If you're asking how long should one hold 36, 3700, well, I don't know, right? I don't know, because what are you doing, basically? Are you accumulating till the next bull run, or are you taking a trade? If you're accumulating, but you know, for the next bull run, and you've only, I don't know, accumulated 15% of what you want to accumulate, then for me personally, I can't say for anyone else, if I had accumulated 15% of what I wanted to at 3600, I wouldn't bother selling out, right? I wouldn't panic. I'd literally just keep buying until 700. Primarily, this is because I'm in the game with the foresight that this market will go up again, right? Which may not even happen in itself. You must understand that. So I hope that answers your question. If you want technical levels, I can show you, but you really need to know what you're doing before you start buying, right? You need to have a plan. Yeah, it's exactly what that gangster dude is saying in chat, right? It depends if you're buying for the next bull run or not. Woody, I do count fundamental analysis, but I often find that charts are what I need to know, right? The fundamental analysis is very helpful. It's very, very helpful, but I'm primarily focused on charts, right? primarily focused on charts. Right, if that concludes the altcoin questions I want to get into. If that concludes Bitcoin, I want to get into altcoin questions. Okay, Raleigh, if you followed your plan, then fair enough, right? Fair enough. You know, if you give me a solid question, right? If you give me a level, or if you let me know your general scenario, then I can tell you what I would do, right? I can tell you what I would do. Again, to conclude this, right? The daily level here is at 4116, but this is a very strong congestion zone. Is a very easy chance that we just tap into 4166 and roll over, right? This gray zone denotes an area to be wary at, yeah? To be wary at. Turtle soup zone. Right, we're on to altcoin requests. So I'm going to start with what I had. What was it? POA, right? This was Livercoin, I think, was on Twitter, and he messaged me this. Very easy one. Extremely easy, right? I don't really need to go down from ground basis, right? We have our high here. I've plotted it, right? 1746. We have a low. I've plotted it. 694, right? Then we have an intermediate low. So you see here, right? Price rejects off this close. Bang, right? So we form, quote unquote, an accumulation range, right? That's what everyone's calling it lately anyway, across the crypto asset classes. Now, primarily, it's very simple. For POA, wouldn't be buying right now, but if the daily can find itself above 880, then it's go time to this blue line, right? Really simple stuff. Why? Because here is where price sprang from before, right? And also rejected from pretty harshly, right? You see here? It has shown itself to be a fairly significant level, right? Hence why I would want to be taking a bit of profit if I entered a breakout trade, right? So a breakout trade would be like this. You know, if you're scraping on the momentum, I'll show you how I derive that target in a second. Right, so you wait until the break, you find a pivotal low on a higher time frame candle close, you put your stop below, and you can target this general region, right? Stack asks in that general region. That's how I would play POA. I'm not inside POA, but it's not looking bad at all, right? Not looking bad at all. That's primarily how I derive that first target, okay? A lot of volume traded here. And secondly, this, right? Here is another very significant level. You see that? Actually, let me turn this on. There we go. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, these are the two most significant levels I can see. So should we expand off here, I would be taking off the majority of profit at 1158, right? That's where it's seeking, in my opinion. You know, you have to, there's a what's it called? There's a problem that some traders run into. Is they say, oh, there's so much resistance. But again, you have to look at how long we've been consolidating for, right? And how many rejections we've had off a certain zone, right? You know, if the longer this consolidates, the harder it's going to expand when it does. Very, very, very simple. And if you want to, look, take fib retracement from the top to the bottom. Let's find some confluence zones, right? So look, this first zone seems to be just short of the 382, right? And the second zone seems to be just short of the 618. That's typically how I would take profits anyway. Take it just before a level, right? So you can use these as a framework to guide you for rejection points, right? Use lower time frame candles in order to guide your bias, right? So that's POA. It's very simple, you know. It doesn't require a genius to tell you these things. We've tapped into this supply block once and twice already, so you'd expect the next expansion over here to move, right? This to not be that strong. Or one could say, sir, that means that there are trap buyers, whatever it is, right? Support above here, up. That's my bias. Okay, what's the next one? GVT. Genesis Vision. Right. So let's zoom out. Genesis Vision. It's fallen astronomically since its highs, around 41,000, is now at 5,005. It always makes me laugh when I look at these charts. 5,500, right? Move back down to optimum entry, right, or to the lowest entry you can ascertain, right to here, right? Moved all the way down, currently in quote-unquote an accumulation range, looking to expand upwards, right? If you want to look at the local scenario, what do we see? Okay, highs in defense, or in rejection. Let me put this up here, right? Highs in rejection, lows in ascension. Primarily what is to be discussed and to be seen is you have an impulse, a consolidation. This consolidation that comes after this point, right? So look, here is our point number 1. All of this consolidation that comes after is consolidating from this leg. Hence why I've used this as a rectangle this way and a rectangle this way. Do you see that? Right, we're forming higher, lower highs, right, and higher lows. So for GVT, there is a few different plays you could take. Few different plays. The primary play is right here, right now. Right, you put your stop. You could give it a little room to breathe depending on how you want to play. Take a play here, and basically take it to this resistance zone, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very strong congestion zone there, right? Stacking asks all the way from wherever you see resistance through to there, right? It's highly likely that an expansion after a consolidation like this would take it higher. Very similar to POA, right? Very similar to XMR. All these coins that are going through these extended consolidations, right? Not my favorite setups to be taking, personally. XMR I prefer over this, but the GVT, the reason I don't like taking setups like this at the moment is because you have to wait a long time, right? And I don't know if this ascending wedge or whatever you want to call it is just, you know, you wouldn't expect it to be distribution, but a lot of these coins in the space don't mean anything. Apologies, I don't know the FA on GVT. Take a extension, or sorry, a fib retracement from the highs to the lows. Let's see if we see any confluence anywhere, right? So we've tapped into the 236. So really, right, really, it'd make more sense to set a target down here, right? 2 exit zones. The only play I take a place, the only place I would take a play is right here. Target 14,200, right? Probably stack 60% of my asks there and take off another 40% of 1,600, right? So that's my bias for GVT. It looks fairly bullish, right? I like these ascending lows. What's the volume doing though? That's what we really need to look at. So the only thing, the problem is with GVT is the lack of volume, right? There's really not much volume coming in at the moment. You want to see a pickup. I suppose you do here, right? So from this section, you see some interest. So yeah, I go with my previous bias that right now is an okay place to take GVT. If that's the kind of setup you like. That stop loss is too tight. It might be too tight, you know, it might be too tight. It really depends on your tolerance, right? For example, Gangster said that stop loss is too tight. It might be, right? It might be. But I often look, what you have to look at is where does a trend make a lower low? And if you have, for me, if you have a trend that's holding itself up, primarily based on lower lows, i.e. the only thing in the chart here that's showing me it's bullish is these lower lows and the amount of time it's been in expansion, right? If you make a low below this 9683, You've lost that narrative. Hence why, you know, if you want to be, for me, if I want to be generous with my stop, I'd put it beneath this low. Is that understood? Okay, next. Tron. Starting to expand, I can see already on a lower time frame. Right. I know this one through and throughout because I love Tron, right? Let's show you. So this is actually an area, a very interesting area for me, okay? Right. So following on from what's happened, let's show you. You had a high down here, you consolidated, right? You basically moved into this low and formed unsuspecting equal lows, right? At 594. And of course you had a bullish reaction off there, right? Of course. Now, loads of people went long and bam, loads of people got stopped out, right? What happened? We took these lows and then we moved back above this area, right? Do you see that? So we into this block right here. Bang. So that was a good sign for me. I took a trade, right? I'm not going to lie, once I saw that, I took a retest trade here. I got stopped out on it, but I took a trade, right? Oh no, I left it. I left it because there wasn't any reaction. But I thought because we reclaimed this area that we'd move back up, disrespected. Now, if you go down to a lower time frame, what's occurring in this area? So look, we are still bearish, right? I'm not saying it's not going to spring from here. But if you want to look at the order flow, it's just down, right? We're having lower lows, lower highs. Where is the switch point? That's what we really need to know. I'll show you where the switch point is. It's right here. Understood? So if Tron can reclaim this area, right? And from on the daily, right? So let's go to the daily chart. If Tron can reclaim this area on the daily, at that point, I will start to consider a long, right? A higher time frame long. Is that clear? Because it's at this point where the trend is truly injured, yeah? Right? You will see confluence with a rough trend line right there also, yeah? One could say, oh, it's breaking out of a diagonal now. I don't care, right? I really don't care. I need to see a form support above a significant zone to long it, basically. Right? You go into the 4 hour. For those who want to see the local scenario, decent amount of volume arises here, right? You come bull squeezingly close to the bottom. You close below this candle, so the breakout sellers would sell, and then you start moving back up, right? At current, Tron is seeking, it seems to me as if it's seeking again here, right? We've been rejected twice off there. It's a pretty strong zone. Let's check. Difficult. Okay, so for the local traders, right? For the local traders, if you're long from here right now, the next logical zone on a lower time frame, right? So this is for the scalp traders primarily, yeah? Your target will be right here. Understood? Right, so say you've been long on this is not a call, nothing like that, right? I'm not telling you what to do, but if you've taken a long from this general region, that is your target, right? Because we've tapped into this area so many times, we're just trying to break it, it seems. You can see this inverted head and shoulders meme being played here, yeah? Right? Neckline. 1, 2, right? 3. Take that target, extrapolate it out. What do you have? Perfect. Right, perfect. And it seems as if Tron wants there. 600, round number. I'll tell you about my indicators shortly. Next, let's get on to the next coin. I just had another one. GVT, Tron, POA. Okay. Let's go into DERO. Right. Coin signals.trade. Okay, guys. See, I don't know what this coin is, right? So forgive me. I have no idea what DERO is. I know there's a lot of interest on my feed earlier on, hence why I'm covering it. First thing, I'll go through this one rather quickly, alright? We have the weekly resistance right here, right, at 2245, right? We mashed into it and been rejected, yeah? You see that? Local resistance, macro resistance. On the higher time frames, you had a massive impulse, movement back down into this region that has established itself as a singular area of support, right? Actually twice, once and twice. So the line in the sand is 156, right? 156. Weekly. Here are your weekly barriers, right? You move below 157 on the daily on a close, right? In my opinion, you want to be a seller, right? And I wouldn't touch it until support is found. I mean, at this point, I'm not going to say, oh, this is going to hold up price. We don't have liquidity and historical value to be calling stuff like that, right? That's the bearish scenario if we close below 157, right? You move back above this weekly, right? So after, if we consolidate here and you move back above the weekly, you can simply extrapolate from the low to the high back down to the low, and you can find out where we move to, right? And at current, you know, say we move into this gray box, right, into this pivot area, bang, 1-to-1 extension is right at this previous high up here. So depending on what trade you are doing, these scalp traders or swing traders will want to take a trade up to here, right? Long position. This is one trade that's emerging for you guys. You know, you can put your stop depending where, you can put your stop wherever you like to put it, right? I'd do something such as that. I'd want to see this area hold us up. If we spring from here, your target is 314. I would not preempt anything on low liquidity, right? I'd wait for it to trend out, wait for it to receive support. Right, there's confluence down here, but I can't highlight the importance, right, of waiting for something to show you signs of reversal. At current, we're forming on the daily, right, lower lows, lower highs. There's no change in structure right now. No change in structure. Should we come back below here and get back over here, right? Then what we're seeing is a move to blue. So at that point, scalp traders can come in and take a lower time frame trade up to blue, right? Next, we have Stellar Lumens. So this is a follow-on from a previous video I made, I think a few days ago. So congratulations for anyone that took my tip off. I didn't tell anyone to buy, but I said that, you know, we were consolidating in this block and it's looking extremely bullish, right? We took a trade in Killmex Pro right here. I think we entered, I think it was in the it was around 270. We took profit at around 2600, right? So we are personally out, right? Most of the guys in Killmex are out. Our play was like such. So it ended up being around a 3R trade, right? Now the line in the sand for Stellar Lumens is here. So you don't want to close below 2640 at current, right? Trying to figure out what time frame I made that on. Oh yeah, so what I did was at the point that this receives a lower low, the trend is over in my opinion. So if we have a 4-hour close below 2640, I'd be on high alert, right? Price is wicked off this level for good reason, right? It's last defense. Daily for Stellar Lumens is still showing bullish, But of course, I have a habit of taking profit out before the trend is at completion, right? I don't like to be in trying to sell tops. I'm rather happy getting out with the portion of the move, right? If we expand from here, I'm expecting us to wick into 3100 and come back down personally, all right? So that's the update for Stellar. And the last one we have is Link BTC. This is also following on from the previous video I made, right? So Link's not looking too bad, right? I'm not going to go through the entire setting again because I gave it previously. But what I had noted is one thing, is that we'd formed an inverted head and shoulders in ascension at these lows, right? We had an impulse, a massive consolidation, and we're basically expanding off that first, right? And I concluded that, look, we're forming higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. The place where this trend rolls over is a close below 90, what's that, 97.39. So let's say a close below 9700 on the daily, right? Until then, Link remains bullish, right? Link remains bullish. At current, we've had a move off the 50 here. Do you see this? Right. We've had a move off the 50. Macro remains bullish, right? If we can gain support back above this level, on the daily, a trade will open up. A trade that I take to the red line. Why? Simply the extrapolation from this zone, right? Basically, if you take the distance from the low to the high, plot that back on, you get this red area. It's very difficult to predict price and price discovery, but that's a general line. Unfortunately, buy pressure is going down until this point. Right here is where buy pressure starts to pick up at 10.715. Really, in general, at this block, right? Right here. So price is reacting to this level. It's very significant. So on a higher time frame, you know, the daily below 7K is significant. 7K, 9700. But if you want to preempt an earlier exit, you know, you've formed a very good support level at 10,600. We close below there on the 4 hour, right? Then, you know, I would suggest to watch out for lower lows, right? Or lower prices at least. And then, of course, if we break down below 9,700, it's gone. So that's my two scenarios for Link. If you want a fuller deconstruction of my thesis, please watch my previous video. It's on my Twitter. And we did post a link in Killmex also. Right, we have a few questions. Can you take a look at Wax? I haven't heard about that coin in ages. Went on all-time high. Jesus Christ. Right. Are you funny motherfuckers? When will alts surpass BTC domination? What does that even mean? John Perez, ADA. You want to look at ADA? I can look at ADA. Thanks. Stop loss and profit. BTT I can look at. Yeah, let's take a look at that, guys. Right. It's a secret. You know, you shouldn't have asked me this question. BTT is a secret. Well, look, the first thing I'm going to say to you guys is, I want to ask you a question, right? What is this game? Is it a game that shitcoins move because they're worth something, or is it a game that shitcoins move because speculation is the game we play, right? What's the right answer? It's the second one. So why in the fuck are people saying that BTT is going to zero? Like, I don't know if it's a counter shill army by Justin to bring in more attention to the space, but what I will say to you is, keep an eye on this coin, right? Keep an eye on the coin. The speculative power of this coin is very strong. It's not small, right? You have not only is it a Binance Launchpad project, which notoriously do very well, at least on the release, but Justin Sun's behind the project, and he can pump this motherfucker, right? He can. Not to mention that being integrated into BitTorrent is a very, very interesting use case. The fact that Justin Sun has integrated this into BitTorrent and plans to expand the BitTorrent platform, right, shows that this, you know, everything you've heard at the moment might not be what it's like in the future. Does that make sense? Right? So good news for BitTorrent is good news for BitTorrent token, purely because this market is a speculative game, right? You have shitcoins pumping on stupidity, right? Why is this going to be any different? At 60 to 100 million market cap, what was Dragon, right? What was Dragon in the last bull run? It was 1 billion, right? It hit 1 billion market cap. Fucking even Deep Brain Chain hit 1 million market cap, right? So how in the hell are you saying that this has another 80% to fall? I don't know. Right? At current, there's not too much TA that can be done from it, but there's two things we can do. Number one, take an extension from here to here, and what do you get? Right? So you go from high to low to high. Two reference points we have. At a breakdown, you're looking at 6100, right? Right? If you see a reaction there, being a buyer would be pretty decent in my opinion, right? 6100 is an area to watch out for. At current, you are forming lower lows, so look, lower highs, lower lows, but this doesn't convince me at current, right? This does not convince me at all. People are saying this thing is generating lower lows and lower lows, and it looks like shit, but we're consolidating right here. I'm just not convinced of that right now, at all. So I'm not saying bullish or bearish, but I'm saying longer term time frame, this is a very good token to be in my opinion, right? How am I going to derive targets? Right, speculation. It's very difficult to be commenting on where this trend can roll to, but a sweep of previous high is a scenario I have in mind, right? If people start to buy the breakout and they get fucked. And target 2, extrapolated here from here to here, right? We have a 1618 extension coming up at this range high, and I've just plotted a random target 2, right? Halfway from 1618 to 2.618. I'm not going to deal with speculating on targets right now, right? But I will say that the range high is one of them, okay? So really for BitTorrent, it's a game of speculation more than TA right now, in my opinion. Yeah, you're right. BTC does kind of look like a coin before the BTC break. However, Arthur, it's not Bitcoin, right? In fact, one would say it's inversely correlating with Bitcoin right now. It's inversely correlating with majors, right? You see Tron's picking up slightly, but BitTorrent is doing jack shit right now, right? My primary thesis is that it's going to soak up volume when everything else starts dying, right? You saw how it soaked up volume previously when the market was red. You know, I think history may repeat, but again, speculation. Right, we're going to... so many requests. Let me just get through the requests, guys. GVT. I've checked GVT already. Can you look at metal later, Polly? Right. It's between... I've got one more. I've got one more slot to look at. Poly, wax. Damn, so many requests. Quark chain. Good lord. Right. So I'm going to look at 2 more. Right. I'm going to look at 2 more. The others will cover in Telegram, alright? Quark chain. These sneaky motherfuckers. They I got whipsawed on that trade actually. You know, no fucks given admitting that. Basically, we had a very strong breakout here, right? If you haven't printed this after, you can see that Quark chain moved above daily resistance for the first time, right? So you have a series of lower highs, and here is your switch point right here. 2 hours later, after we closed that candle, Quark Chain came out with an announcement that they're pushing the main net back 1 month, right? At current, I'm not really dealing with much. I mean, I'm expecting us to flag around in this range, right? Until early next month. The moment you start seeing shills for Quark Chain, wait a little bit and wait for it to form support, in my opinion, okay? If we can reclaim this daily resistance, right, I'm going to remove this from my analysis primarily. I know there's trap buyers up here, but if we can reclaim the daily resistance, then I think something solid will come in of this nature, right? Generous stop, generous target to the 78.6 of this down leg. And yeah, that's it, right? Could go much higher, but again, in foresight, I am conservative. Okay, you guys want ADA? Let's do ADA. Very easy, very, very easy. You have impulse. You have consolidation. Okay? Understood? You take a swing low, swing high, swing low. Extension is at 1588. Give it some breathing range. You're looking at around 1500 plus, right? It's where the trouble starts to kick in. It's at exactly 1500, right? Breathing range. What do we see? We see a consolidation. When we form lower lows, lower highs, we have a switch point right here. ADA is looking great, right? It's not looking bad at all. We took a play in Killmex. Gladly here. We're already in, right? We're already in. And I'm not going to tell you targets and all that stuff, right? And how we're playing it. But it's not looking bad, guys, put it that way. Right, for the classical chartists among you, you have a diagonal breakout or a channel breakout. Form a higher high here. So you have lower lows, form equal lows, and then you switch, right? Switch point. And I'm pretty sure I've coined that phrase. I don't think anyone else uses it right now. So if you start to hear that anywhere, that was no one else calling that other than me, right? That's the switch point, right there. Lower time frames, not too useful right now. You don't want to lose this. This is your support, right? 1200 is your support. Close below the daily, right? Below 1200, ADA is in trouble again, right? What do we see? This expansion on expansion. Volume is dropping off. RSI is very healthy. You know, you don't see any divergence, which means that the rate of change or the way this is snailing up is just increasing in a similar fashion to what came before, right? So if you really want to denote this and understand this, we're bullish. it's bullish for now. But we are right here. We're approaching range high. So don't make the mistake of getting overly bullish at resistance, okay? If you're not already in ADA, the time is gone, in my opinion. Okay, breakout here. Right, you confirm support above the 12-hour, or at least let's say 8. Yeah, I call 12. You call 12-hour support above here, 1300. Then 1500 is a very likely target. Right. Can't tell the future, but that is what I see right now. Impulse, head and shoulders on ADA. Oh, you mean inverted? Yeah, you can call it that. I think someone called it cock and balls on Twitter. You could call it that. But if you want to extrapolate this, right, stick that high to that low, stick it back on, and you see the target from that inverted head and shoulders is is a turtle soup over range high, you know? Hence why early entries are better than FOMOing into rallies, right? At here, you're approaching resistance. Not the smartest place to take a trade, in my opinion, due to the guys coming in from here and also just being resistance, right? If you're talking about this inverted head and shoulders, then fair enough, right? This one right here, okay? Talking about that one, target's much higher. Right, target this area up here. But when it comes to expansion, there's no need to, I mean, you follow a plan, but you know, you expand over a daily level like this and you hold support. You can ride it out. You can ride it out, right? Yeah, bigger inverted head and shoulders. All right, guys, that concludes the live stream for today. I'm gonna, what's it called? Give you one last chance to ask a question. I'm taking no more TA requests now. I'm TA'd out. If you want to ask something, let me know. And also, I'm taking song recommendations to play at the end of the live stream like I usually do. So if anyone has a hip-hop song they want me to play, post it in the comments, and we'll listen to some music while we're tuning out. Next episode, Mario. Interesting. Big, small, 10 rules. Haft. I don't speak German, Paul. Okay, we've got some interesting music coming in. Without me, Beston, Neck, Biggie Smalls. Alright, I've got some PMs as well with some music. Alright, I've chosen one I'm going to put on, alright? my nigga. You guys crack me up. Coast and Zion. Oh, that was a hip-hop song. Alright, Paul. Alright. Definitely not putting White and Nerdy on. Definitely not putting that song on. Alright, 30 more seconds and then I'm ending this live stream. Thank you for your appreciation, Paul. I appreciate you, my man. Is there any? Oh right. Is there any information on when Killmex Pro registrations? You got in just to the last moment, man. Killmex Pro registrations are open on the, I think, 22nd, right? Not the 22nd, on the 20th, right? So we open our registrations in 5 days. The waiting list is up, guys, right? So the waiting list is on Telegram. If any of you guys want to join us in Killmex Pro for the next month of trading, head to the waiting list, right? Put in your details, and you'll get 24 hours head start of the soft cap, right? So we'll release the menu to the public, or the entry form 1 day after the waiting list participants, right? apart from that, you know, nothing else. If you got any other questions, just hit us up in PM. Right, we've got a few different music requests, and this is the one I've chosen. All right, it's called Meek Mill, What's Free, Rick Ross and Jay-Z. Have a lovely evening, guys. Thank you for tuning in today. I wish you well. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and reflect on one thing, right? Let's reflect on one thing this weekend. We're very lucky to be alive. You know, there are some people that got shot up this morning in that mosque. So I'm sending my prayers out to them. Thank you for tuning in. Have a lovely weekend.
Since the lad I was cunning, just got a pad out in London. I keep stacking my money, I need a ladder by summer. 8K shots, niggas ducking straight shots. Been a top dog, that's before the K dots. Cracking in 06, immaculate showmanship. Talking like you Mitch, disastrous on the strip. Holding on your bitch, could've never sold you a brick. With them people, you never been on the list. Mona Lisa to me ain't nothing but a bitch. Hanging pictures like niggas swinging from his dick. We so different, you thought these didn't exist. The megalodon never seen on his wrist. I'm from the south where they never make it this rich. God is the greatest, but Satan been on his shit. Walking the pavement, I pray I'm illuminated. Over a decade and never nobody's favorite. Pot and kilo go hand in hand like we gamble and huff. My amigo, 1,000,000 grams when we count them and up. You was dead broke, I let you hold it back. You paid for it, but I fuck around and stole the track. Screaming gang gang, now you wanna rap. Racketeering charges, caught them on the tap. Looking for a bond, lawyers want a tax. Purple hair, got them faggots on your back.
What's free? Free is when nobody else can tell us what to be. Free is when the TV ain't controlling what we see. Told my niggas I need you. Through all the fame, you know I stay true. Pray my niggas stay free.